All right, thank you for coming back to another video today. We'll be recapping the TCU BYU game that was played on October the 14th of 2023, and that's coming up right after this. Hey everyone, welcome back to Just Justin. I am Justin, and today I'm gonna do a recap of the BYU TCU game played in Fort Worth, Texas. So two Big 12 teams. One's 4-1, BYU. One's 3-3, that's TCU. TCU has been coming off of a two-game losing streak, and BYU has come off of a one-game winning streak when they beat Cincinnati last week. So, how did the game go? Well, after the bye week of BYU didn't play last week. And after the bye week, well, it did not go so good for the BYU Cougars. And let me explain here. So BYU got the ball. First play, they ran it, got 5 yards. Second play, they didn't get anything. The third play, Silvis threw an interception, and it was a pick six. TCU was up 7-0, just like that. And so BYU got the ball back, and they couldn't do anything. They couldn't produce anything. And Silvis almost threw another interception, but the defender dropped it. So they had to punt it away. TCU came down the field, and within the first 5 minutes of the game, TCU was up 14-0. Yes, TCU was up 14-0. And so the first quarter ended with BYU 0 and TCU 14. However, that didn't last very long because TCU had the ball in the first of the second quarter, and boom, they went down and they kicked a field goal. So 17-0 TCU. So BYU still cannot produce offensively so far. And TCU went down and they scored a touchdown. So it's 24-0. And so right before the half, BYU had the ball, and he threw a strike over the middle to Chase Roberts, and he ran down the longest play. I think it was like 39 yards for BYU so far on the day, and that actually took him into TCU territory. They eventually went down, and they scored a touchdown, and that made it 6-24. So BYU went for the two-point conversion. And who got the two-point conversion? Chase Roberts. And so he got the big catch to take him down there so that they can score the touchdown. Then he got the two-point conversion. So that put BYU at 8 and TCU 24. But with 40 seconds left in the game, TCU had a touchdown. And that's all that mattered, right? They had a touchdown to go ahead into the locker room 31-8. Okay, so the first half, that was not looking like the BYU that of old. Yes, the stats so far for the year, they're on par for what this game BYU put up. But BYU has been winning, and they even beat Arkansas, and Arkansas almost beat Alabama today. They lost by 3 points to Alabama. And so what you're thinking, what the heck is going on? And so the second quarter came out. Do you think BYU did any better? Well, no, because TCU went down and they scored a touchdown, 38-8. BYU eventually went down and kicked a field goal. That made it 38-11. And then TCU went down, they kicked a field goal to make it 41-11. And the fourth quarter came along, TCU 44, BYU 11. That's how the game ended. So we'll go over the stats here in a minute. But let me just comment here. So BYU threw a pick six. All right, and then they fumbled the ball. I think it was actually an incomplete pass because his arm was going forward when he got hit, but they ruled it a fumble. Not going to argue that. But however, BYU intercepted TCU twice. And both times they were down in BYU territory, getting ready to score. Here are the stats for the game. First downs, BYU 15, TCU 30. TCU kicked our butts there. Passing yards, BYU 152 yards. TCU 447 yards. And that was even with a new quarterback this was his first college start. Rushing yards, 91. And TCU, 137. Penalties, BYU only had 5 for 50. And TCU had 7 for 59. Turnovers were 2 and 2. 1 interception and 1 fumble for BYU, and then TCU had those 2 interceptions. And the time of possession was 29 minutes and 22 seconds for BYU, and 30 minutes and 38 seconds for TCU. Those are the stats that I've been used to so far all season long following BYU, but BYU somehow seems to win those games. Today, after this bye week, they showed up to see TCU and they were not prepared at all. TCU came out knowing what BYU can do, and TCU controlled the ball. They controlled the line of scrimmage, and that's how you win games. Now, Solvis, okay, so this is just an armchair, lazy boy, couch, quarterback, coach, whatever you want to call it. Okay, my opinion only. All right, Solvis has an arm. He kept overthrowing the receivers. Either the receivers are slow and they've got to get more conditioning to run faster, or Solvis has got to hit the receivers. Okay, they were tight. So far, the defenses have been tight on the receivers because they know what the receivers can do and they know what Solvis can do. But they have to put the 2 and 2 together, and they've got to hurry. BYU's got to get it down. Solvis has got to get his arm under control. He's got to find the open receivers. The receivers have got to get open in the first place. And we have to build that running game. So far, the running game has been sucky. Yes, LJ Martin, he is a beast. But he can't run anywhere because he's not getting holes, okay? He had a couple good runs today, but still, he needs to get open and run that ball. Chase Roberts needs to get open. Isaac Rex needs to get open, okay? And all the receivers have to figure something out because BYU's got Texas Tech at home next week, then Texas in Austin the following week. And what are we going to do? We've got to figure something out because the season's winding down, and now we're 1 and 2 in conference play, and that is not a good way to start out your Big 12. Debut is 1 and 2. You should be starting out like 3 and 0. That's just my opinion. But yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what happened. I'm just an armchair lazy boy coach going, this is what needs to happen. And yes, they need to have more tackling drills. Because I saw so many of the BYU players just not wrap up. You wrap up and you drive them to the ground. You can't put your helmet in there because, targeting, but you wrap them up and you just forcibly take him down. Okay, and no taunting, okay? Don't taunt. Once you hit them, put them down, don't taunt. Just get up and walk away. All right, they might consider that taunting too because you're confident. But something's got to change because these stats that BYU is putting up is pathetic. And I'll admit it, I am a BYU fan and I'm embarrassed of these stats. But for some reason, BYU's winning. Now we're 4 and 2. The stats have got to get better. We need to start putting up 400 yards passing and 200 yards running. We've got to get our game under control and figure something out. Or it's going to be a long, long season and another rebuilding year over the summer. But that's just my opinion on the BYU TCU game. TCU came out. They were well prepared. They knew what was at stake, and they showed who they are. BYU and TCU used to battle back and forth when they were in the Mountain West together. And TCU is a really super good team. I'm not knocking them at all. They are a really super good team. They have the potential to be good. They went to the college playoffs last year. Yeah, TCU. I think they're 4 and 3 right now because they beat BYU. And they have a good potential. This Big 12 is full of good teams. And BYU's have got to step it up if they want to participate in the Big 12. That's just my opinion. But that's it. That's the recap for today. BYU loses to TCU 44-11. Maybe this will humble them, and maybe they'll come back and show Texas Tech who they are, and then repeat that and show Texas who they are. But that's in the future. But today, BYU lost to another good Big 12 team. Cincinnati was a good, don't get me wrong, Cincinnati's a good Big 12 team as well. They're a newcomer, and they will progress and become better. But TCU and Kansas has been in the Big 12 for a while. Kansas has been there for a long time. They're one of the founding members, and TCU came over to the Big 12 about, I don't know, how many years ago, 10 years ago? I'm not quite sure. But they've been here for a while. Cincinnati's a newcomer, BYU's a newcomer. But they're going to be starting to play established teams in the Big 12, and they've got to get better. They've got to figure some stuff out. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. And I hope you guys, come back and watch another video. So I will have another recap next week, same time, hopefully. And it will be with Texas Tech. All right, guys, I hope you guys have a good one. And I'll see you in the next recap. And we'll see you later. And get better, BYU.